ride. I can tell you a couple of things about myself in the past. I grew up in Chicago. I learned the real estate business from a very big firm there. And then in 1979, Paul Volcker became the chairman of the Federal Reserve and just put everybody in the real estate business right out of business. It was probably one of the low points in my life. I had made an absolute fortune during the 70s selling real estate, and I thought as a young kid it would never, ever, ever end. And I spent every nickel and dime I had at that time frame, and then I was just absolutely astounded that within an 18-month time frame the world could change so radically, because if you remember, I mean, Paul Volcker came in with the mandate to end inflation. And interest rates went from 7.5 to 9.5 to 13.5 to 17.5, and finally at 22.5%. And it just put everybody out of business. And that's really where I learned is that, you know, worlds change, and you need to kind of watch the trend. And here I was, I had allowed a fortune to just go right through like sand through my fingers. And had I just paid attention and done some foresight and some forethought, my life would have been better. So my wife and I put together this, really our strategy. This is our business plan. And I vowed to never, ever, ever to allow that to happen to me once again. And we put the strategy together in the 80s. We came here to Phoenix from Chicago and found that we absolutely fell in love with Arizona, and Phoenix being one of the top growth centers in the nation. It just looked right for what our strategy was. We implemented a strategy, and we worked extremely hard for about 9.5 years. I mean, my wife and I was a family commitment, a goal that we were going to do. And by 1992, the passive income generated by our cash flowing properties was enough to pay our bills, and my wife and I just took off, and life's been absolutely terrific ever since. I mean, my life actually has been incredible. So we've really had fun, and people used to ask my wife and I, you know this, Chuck, but my wife and I would leave for Australia, and we'd be gone from May until September, and we'd go play on the beach in Burleigh Beach in Queensland, Australia, and we would be there for 3 months, because that's as long as the Australians would allow us to stay. So we would go there and come back, and our friends would say, how in the world can you do this? And so we had people ask us, and finally I have used this strategy for many of my friends and then clients. And over the past 20, 25 years, I just have 100 clients that we've done. I've never had anyone not be successful on it. It's a very, very conservative strategy, and it just works. And when we say retire with income, we're not talking about having to wait till you're 65 years old. We're talking about kind of semi-retiring, where you can actualize your life, where you have enough income to pay your bills. And that was part, as you and I were talking before we got on the air, that my wife and I believe in the doctrine of enough. So what is enough for me is maybe not be the same for you or for someone else, but once you get to that enough, then your life becomes your own. And we got to the point where we had more than enough money. Our investments paid all of our monthly bills and left us something over. So once that happens, I'm going to tell you, Chuck, life is just a lot more fun. You know, just a great fun. So, and I guess I would like to bring this to everyone. We're here in Phoenix, which is just this is like Candyland for a real estate agent. So we just think that we're in absolutely the right place at the right time. So if you like, I can go on to this. This is a presentation that I speak around the valley with John Foltz and Jeff Sutherland. It's a 3-hour presentation, so we can condense this as small as you want. So I can get a little long-winded, so you kind of have to rein me back a little bit. But we are here in Phoenix, and if you go to slide 1, we'll just start talking about what I see. And quite honestly, I've been really, really fortunate in that I have written a few things for Wall Street Communist Capital, and they've been published, and I've been considered a syndicated columnist. And consequently, because I'm a syndicated columnist, I can really call up just wonderful, incredible analysts, people in the news, some really smart people, and ask me if they want to take 10 or 15 minutes of their time and just review their work, go over their strategies, go over thoughts. And quite honestly, I've never, ever had anyone say, no, I don't want to discuss my life work with anybody, you know. So I've talked to some absolutely brilliant people. Charles Nenner is one of the ones that I've talked to an awful lot. He's an analyst out of Israel. He was with Goldman Sachs for 10 years. I've talked to Walter Zimmerman. We've worked with Eduardo Mieres, who's the #1 market timer in the nation. So a lot of these things, they've kind of opened up my eyes to a lot of the things that are coming on. And it just tells you that sometimes being in the right place at the right time is more important than doing anything else. So quite honestly, in this first slide, it's a little amazing, but you know the baby boomers have affected absolutely every segment of the marketplace as they've come through their lives. And that went from bassinets and cribs to grade schools, to high schools, to colleges, to cars, and now we're retiring. So, and it's amazing is that, you know, this 10,000 baby boomers, I actually went and checked. It really is 10,000 baby boomers. I mean, this isn't an exaggeration. There's just a tremendous amount of us, and we're retiring. And you know, when you retire, you have your life savings put together. You've worked all your life. You've got your nest egg together. And I'm going to tell you that there is a demographic move that is just going to be unstoppable. And it's been going on here in Phoenix for just, you know, 50 years, longer than that. Because when I came to the Valley, you know, there's 700,000 people in the Valley. I mean, the roads didn't go anywhere. Now look, we got over 4 million people. And my sources are telling me we're probably going to have a minimum of another 1 million new residents in Phoenix Metropolitan Statistical Area. That's what the Phoenix MSA stands for. By 2025. It's a little hard to imagine, but keep in mind that we do run in cycles a little bit, and we're looking for a cycle probably in outlying years, maybe 2019, 2020, that's going to be just pretty phenomenal in Phoenix. And a lot of it's going to be baby boomers. We're just going to be getting to the point where they're coming out of the cold, going to where it's warm. I mean, look what Phoenix has to offer. We have my neighborhood is full of Canadians. They come down here to get out of that brutal Canadian winter, and they come here. We've got football, we've got basketball, we've got hockey, we've got Barrett Jackson, we have the Arabian Horse Show, we've got golf, 24 hours, almost 24 hours a day. You can go to just what Top Light, and they can play for all this time. Plus we just have bicycle paths. So there's just so much stuff to do here. It's just like a magnet for people. And you start talking about the people who are retiring. They don't really want to retire and go sit on their porch. These are active retirees, and they're coming here to Phoenix. So if you can go to the next slide, that just maybe reiterates. I'm probably way ahead of myself here, Chuck. There we go. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so you know that there's a demographic shift, and it's unstoppable. You know, I live in Scottsdale. I've worked with the city of Scottsdale a little bit in building a couple pieces of property, and I've talked to Mayor Lane, and they just absolutely understand the fact that really this is almost an unstoppable trend, and they're really more interested in being able to control the trend rather than try and stop it. But that is just what's going to drive an awful lot of population. We're going to be getting a lot of retirees. They're going to be coming here with money. They're going to be coming here with retirement pensions. They're going to be coming here, and it's an active lifestyle, which means they're going to be spending money here. So you're going to get an awful lot of people who are going to be coming here, and they're going to require services. They're going to be looking for golf courses. They're going to be looking for restaurants. They're going to be looking for massage therapy. They're going to be going to the gym. They're going to want trainers. They're going to want um, toys and entertainment, and it's just different than a lot of them. And you know, the baby boomers are a healthier segment of society than what they were from their fathers. You know, these people are coming here with life expectancies of 30 years, and they're in good shape. So these folks are going to come here, and they're just going to stimulate our economy. So Chuck, if you go to the next slide. There's also another couple of things that we're very, very fortunate is that we have people forget about the millennials that are coming right behind us. And this isn't a big segment of my presentation, but I do want you to make people aware of the fact millennials get a little bit maligned, saying, well, oh, they're just so self-centered and stuff. They're no different than I was as a kid. And quite honestly, they're a larger group than the baby boomers. They're going to affect all the markets, just like the baby boomers did. And they're soon going to be entering the household formation years. They're not even getting to the point where they're starting to get married. So, I mean, this is a huge marketplace that's coming. They're going to want the same things that I wanted for my kids. And I'm going to want a backyard with a swing set, a sandbox, someplace for the kids to throw the ball, ride their bicycles. They're going to be in good neighborhoods with good schools. And this is another market that's coming. It's going to explode the new construction. And if you start thinking of Phoenix, we have a tremendous amount of land. We have a tremendous amount of water as well. I mean, keep in fact that we have 2 watersheds here. So, and not one of them has ever, in our recorded history, been in drought at the same time. So we have plenty of water. So if you go to the next slide, Chuck, I appreciate it. Here's the other one that's going to be driving this. This is so terribly important in what's going to be happening here in Phoenix. Now, here again, we're looking at the outer years. So I'm thinking that probably you're going to start seeing some real significant change. Probably in that 2018, 2019, 2020 years. But if you start thinking of some of these states that are just in trouble, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, they have an out-migration. You know, in Illinois, they lose 62 jobs every single day. And you've got Rahm Emanuel, who has, in Cook County and Chicago, has the highest real estate taxes in the United States. They need money so badly, they want to raise it another 25 to 40%. Now, you know, when you're in business, it's very difficult sometimes to do business when you've got to get these costs under control. When you start thinking how tough it is to do business in these places, when you have your fixed costs like real estate taxes and sales taxes, and you have problems with population of your workers. So you just have to know that Illinois is going to be losing people. It's the same thing with California. I mean, California is just awful. I'm hearing stories that in people who are retiring coming out of the Silicon Valley that maybe work for one of the major tech companies, and they have a pension there, and they come here to retire to Scottsdale. First off, they're going to sell their house in Silicon Valley for an enormous amount of money, come here to Phoenix, and they're going to be able to get a mansion for less than what they were paying for in California, and the taxes will be a third. And they come here, and I'm hearing stories that California is actually looking to tax these people's pensions. So you have to know that a lot of these municipalities and the states are really hunting for money. In California alone, the CalPERS, which is a huge, I mean, you know what that is. That's the largest pension fund in the United States. California pension fund, I think it's $1.3 trillion of unfunded liabilities in California, and they have the same dynamics as going on as that the baby boomers retiring, and they're actually going to start wanting to tap CalPERS. Well, CalPERS is based on the fact that they want an 8% return. I think last year they did about 2.5%. So you just have to know that they are looking to be looking for money. Yeah, thank you for going to the next slide. I got ahead of myself here. It's just truly amazing. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see people coming. I think you're going to see business people In fact, I'm just sure of this because Scottsdale actually has a lot of their marketing based on this very, very thought, is that you have an awful lot of successful business people who are thinking that maybe I need to start moving my company out of the Rust Belt. And if you're in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Illinois, California, you're going to start looking to Arizona. You know, when you start talking about the labor costs in California, you know, and I'm diverging here a little bit, but here's just a startling fact, is that when you go to Long Beach and people are offloading imports from China in Long Beach, it's actually cheaper for a company to distribute out of Phoenix than it is to distribute out of Long Beach. So we have this inland harbor that's underway, that you have companies that are offloading in Long Beach, trucking it all the way to the outskirts of Phoenix and distributing from here cheaper than to do business in California. Now that's just a terrible, terrible outlook for California. I mean, you know, California they have so many regulations, and their state income taxes, I think it's the highest in the United States at 13.6%, and they're taxing absolutely everywhere. So you can just automatically think that you're going to have a lot of business people coming out of California. Now, of course, they're going to be going to Oregon, Washington, Nevada, but Arizona is certainly going to get our portion of that, and it's just going to be wonderful. Now, when you start thinking of Scottsdale has knows that this trend is underway, and they really go for the lifestyle. So if you've ever seen pictures of the Scottsdale Air Park when the Phoenix Open is underway, or when Barrett-Jackson is, I mean, you know, Chuck, so when you bring your private jet, when you fly into Scottsdale and Barrett-Jackson's, you're going to have trouble parking your jet because there's just so many people, there's just so many corporate jets there. And of course, Scottsdale's banking on that. And if you go to my next slide for me, I appreciate that. We are going to have the greatest bull market in my lifetime is coming. And already Forbes has ranked Phoenix, Metropolitan Statistical area, as #1 and #2 job market in the nation for the next decade. Now, I've been to several meetings with Mayor Lane. I really like the man. And they are banking on the fact that when they have these events, we have a lifestyle. I mean, just think of yourself at the Phoenix Open, and you look into those McDowell Mountain, and the sun is starting to set. I mean, people come from around the world to paint that, and we see it absolutely every single day of our lives. And Phoenix here is just going to explode. We have in Scottsdale alone, Scottsdale is banking on the Mayo Clinic as an anchor right down the Shea Corridor. Scottsdale is calling that the Cure Corridor. They are actively looking for medical and medical device, medical research, and medical jobs. And along that Scottsdale corridor, if you can put that in your mind, from the 101 out to Fountain Hills, and with the Mayo Clinic being an anchor. And I don't know if you know this, but this is the very, very first year that Mayo Clinic has their medical school open. We have the first class of Mayo Clinic students, and they're now going to put a teaching hospital together with the Mayo Clinic, and we're projecting 20,000 jobs. If you look on the east to the 101 from Thomas to Via Linda, all coming up through the Indian Reservation, they have some absolutely phenomenal counseling and advice, and all of that is considered the #1 undeveloped window along a expressway in the United States. And if you look in your mind, I mean, just think what the Indians have done with that, with the casino, and they've put in all that entertainment district. They've put in the baseball stadiums. I mean, they have just done an absolutely brilliant job putting that together. That is going to continue, and we're looking. Scottsdale is projecting maybe 50,000 new jobs there. Now the height limit has been raised at the Scottsdale Air Park, and we're projecting another 50,000 jobs there. If you go along the 101 north to the Desert Ridge, if you look at that retail on Desert Ridge, that is only 1/6 of what's projected in the Desert Ridge area. And from the 101 straight north to the mountains is going to be a sea of houses. And if you just continue around and just think of along the 303, that 303 is going to connect to the 10 where we talked about having their warehouse and their distribution centers. But that is just land that's everywhere with an expressway running through it. That is going to be nothing but warehouses and industrial, malls, residential, retail. It's just phenomenal, the growth that's going to be there. You have Luke Air Force Base that's anchoring out that. They got the F-35. It brought in not only the money that was there, they added another $2 billion to that Surprise commercial area over there. And then if you just continue ringing the city, just think what's going on in Chandler. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You have the cloud that's going on in the Chandler area. You got ASU with all of their high tech. The 202 corridor along Gilbert is just phenomenal. So the amount of opportunity that is going to be here in the Phoenix MSA is just phenomenal. It's probably going to be the greatest bull market in my lifetime coming. So if you go to the next slide, Chuck, that'd be great. So I guess what I'm saying is that when you do an asset allocation, sometimes you need to be in the right asset and rather than the right investment. So, you know, we're looking at cash flowing properties. Our cash flows for the people that we do business with really start 6%. You know, it could be 5.25%, 5.5%. Could be 6.5%, could be 7%. But this is 5%, 6% after cost. And when we say cost, we're talking about not only principal, taxes, interest, HOA. We're also talking about a sinking fund because things break in a house. I mean, your garbage disposals go. You're going to have to put a new roof on eventually. You're going to have to paint it. So we put a reserve fund in that. We put a vacancy factor in, and we put a management factor in. Because most of my clients really don't want to be the landlord. They want to be the investor. They just want to get the check each and every month. They never want to see the tenant. They don't want to have to hear, you know, the toilet singing at 2 o'clock in the morning. These folks are just business people. This is just an investment vehicle for them. And they start really around 6%. Now, this is Phoenix. So I think that the rest of the country could have some trouble. But this is Phoenix. It's not Niagara Falls or Schenectady, New York, or Kankakee or Des Moines, Iowa. This is a growth market for the nation. You could almost buy almost anything here, and the market's eventually going to bail you out. So if you put a little bit of just thought into buying, because we do have corridors of growth, we do have areas where we get more rent than others. We have more desirable areas. I've identified all of those. We do business in all of those, and we keep a very, very close eye as to what's going on, where the rents are going, how fast they rent. And quite honestly, I'm going to tell you, Chuck, that the rental market right now is just hot, hot, hot. It's just things are renting sometimes in days. So when I work with a client and I work with people with money, this is an extremely conservative, very, very simple wealth strategy. I mean, there are hundreds of books written about this, so this is not anything that I would say I'm absolutely unique about. My idea, though, is that has worked for me, and I must say it's worked absolutely wonderful, is that we buy them, we really rarely ever sell them. We buy good properties and just keep them. You know, I'm going to give these to my kids. I'm going to set up a family office so that they can have the income off it, but they can't sell the properties, and I want them to increase the wealth on it. But these are things that you can dedicate, and you can inherit to your family. I mean, this could go for generations. But the simple strategy I have is we buy one cash flowing single family property per year. Very easy. We want you to do it each and every year. That's kind of like dollar cost averaging. Although here in Phoenix, but they're not. They've only gone down very, very few times. We've had a terrible one. I mean, everyone remembers that, and we probably do have a little bit of a correction coming. But I'm really not looking for anything as devastating as what we had in 2008, 2009. And quite honestly, we want to just keep these. Now, I kept all my properties right through that. The values went down. But here's the interesting thing is that my rents were really not too terribly affected. So we just had cash flow coming through. Our investments paid. And I kind of think of myself as a farmer on a centennial farm, is that I'm never, ever going to sell the farm. My kids get to use the farm. They can grow crops on it. They can take all the crops, but they can never sell the farm. So we buy these properties with that idea, is that we buy them and keep them forever. So if you buy a property that, first off, it's going to be a cash flowing, it's going to be an excellent property. Years 1 through and 2, what we want you to do is kind of pay back yourself, build a little reserves for when the dishwasher needs to be replaced. And here again, we do have a small reserve built into each and every month. And then years 3 through 7, and here again, that doesn't necessarily have to be written in stone. Go 3 through 8, through 9, through 10, and start doing some principal reductions. So here in Phoenix, we have almost yearly received a 3% increase in our rent. So if you take that 3% increase and just add it to your principal reduction, in 14 to 16 years, that property is going to be free and clear. Last year, the rents were just, we went up over 8%. I mean, it was just a phenomenal year. So what we want to do is to try and get properties that are free and clear, paid off, and we're looking for a minimum of 10. So if someone can just think of themselves, the first 3 or 4 properties are the tough ones. But if you can think that in 10 years, I want to buy at least 10 properties, get them free and clear, get them cash flowing, this passive income that you have will just grow and grow and grow. And you and I mean, one of my struggles that I'm having right now, you know, is this Bengen rule, where, because I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start taking some money for distribution. And the Bengen rule for distribution is between 4 and 4.5%, and then you're going to deplete your assets over 30 years. The FAO rule is now 3.3%. You know, I think if you put a portion of your portfolio into real estate, I don't think this is going to deplete. I think what is going to happen is it's going to grow, and it's going to get higher income, it's going to get higher equity, and I think the value of the property is going to grow. So I think that probably, if you go to the next slide, Chuck, I think we're coming to the end. I've tried to do this. Oh yeah, my life in a nutshell. I just had absolutely
why don't you
amazing
tell
life.
us, before we open this up for questions, tell us a little bit about how people can get in touch with you if they're interested in working with you, and what is it that specifically you find works very well for you as far as someone you working with them?
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. They can call me. They can email me at michael@michaeldouville.com. They can, you know, I'm a local here. I live local, so this is our home office. And I actually pick up my cell phone, so if you call me on my cell phone, you can certainly do that. I am a working broker, so you know, I've been in business for over 40 years, so it's not unusual for us to sell, you know, 30 or 40 or 50 properties that are just the normal broker. People need to move, and we sell that. So I don't want to paint myself in the corner. But, you know, I've just been so successful with the strategy. I have so many people that are asking me to do this. I wrote the book. It's got several strategies in it. It's real simple reading. You have questions, you're always welcome to pick up the phone and call me, and we'll review some of these things. The greatest fun that I have is trying to develop a cash flow and sit down with folks and decide how much do I need. You know, if you just get 10 free and clear properties here in Phoenix, I've been in business for a really long time. I have never, ever had a property we couldn't rent. I just have never had one. So they always rent. And if you had 10 properties free and clear here in Phoenix, you're going to be looking at $8,000 to $10,000 net. And that's after you've paid your property manager, after you've paid your taxes, after you've paid all your repair bills, after you've paid all the HOA, you're going to have a net of $8,000 to $10,000 every month for the rest of your life, forever. And that can be inherited to your kids, to your grandkids, to your great-grandkids. You can put that into a family office and really keep it forever. I find that wonderful. I get calls from people how empowering it is, because quite honestly, once you get to the point where your income, your passive income is paying all your monthly bills, I'm going to tell you, you sleep really, really well at night. So, and you can do all kinds of fun things. I mean, I've just had an absolutely amazing life, and it's just been because I built this money machine, and it just grinds out cash each and every day. And I use a property manager, and they handle all the interface with my tenants. I mean, this gives me freedom. My wife and I have traveled a year at a time. We've taken our kids. You know, I love Australia. You know, that's just like, you know, if you can't find me, odds are I'm in Australia. So we've taken it where we've been in Australia for a year, just tramped all over the place, been on the water, had fun. But Chuck, I couldn't have done this if I hadn't put together an investment program for myself. And quite honestly, when you are here in Phoenix, you have such a great opportunity, because you know, no matter what happens on stock market, a direct ownership of real estate has such a low correlation with Wall Street. This is really a local phenomenon. So I think Phoenix is going to do really, really well. I'm not so sure the northern. I mean, if you're in farm countries in Kankakee or in Dubuque, Iowa, or Fargo, North Dakota, I can't say that they're going to be doing as well as we will be doing here in Phoenix. But I think Phoenix is just a home run.
Okay, Mike, I think we're coming to the point. Excuse me for jumping in here, but we have one question from a person, and I'm going to open it up in general for anyone who has questions.
Sure.
One person wanted to know how they can get your book. Can they get it on Amazon, for instance? So how would we go about getting your book?
Well, you can always call me. We'll send it to you. But it's always available on Amazon. It's available on Apple, Barnes & Noble, Angus & Robertson. Amazon, everybody knows Amazon. You can get the paperbacks also on Amazon. It's been really fun since it got published last year. It's just been really, really fun. So yeah, Amazon would probably be the very best one, and they'll send it out. You can get it either in ebook or in the paperback. But thank you very much for asking that.
Okay, and just kind of throwing tax angles on this too is there are ways that you could freeze your estate and get the depreciation and income and have the rest go to your heirs. Are called grantor trust, and they're a residuary trust. So there's a variety of things. You were talking about what to do with successors, what happens then. Let me do this. There's a few people, some people have gone back to work, I guess, but I'm going to just unmute it for everyone, and anyone can just jump in and ask a question.